Let's evaluate expressions with variables. So basically we've done this. It's going to involve, I just bumped the camera. It's going to involve the order of operations. We've done it, only we didn't have too many variables in there in the past. So let's do it now where we have variables. Before I go any further, let me show you how this is useful. Because when you see stuff like this, you're like, wow, nobody ever does that for a living. And you'd be almost right to say that, but not completely. Because, look at this. The formula to find the perimeter of a rectangle with length L and width W is this. This is a very practical formula. If you need to know the perimeter of a rectangle, you can do this. Now, I know you could say, well, let's just add the sides together. Hey, I got it. That's fine. But what if you're making a computer program that automatically calculates it? Then you need this formula, or there's the area, that kind of thing. So you're going to have a lot of letters in what we're doing, a lot of variables in it. So let me straighten my papers and we'll get started. So basically, everywhere I see a A, I put a 5, a B, I put a -4, C, I put a -1, and we'll just go from there. So let's do it. Z minus A to the D power minus Y. What? Okay, let's do it. Well, Z is 3, A is 5. We're subtracting those. And we're going to raise it to the D power. D is 2, and we're going to subtract Y, and Y is -3. So here's what I have, and I did it wrong, and I want to show you where I'm wrong. Okay, so this was Z, this was A, this was D, and this is actually not Y. Y is -3, and I'm supposed to subtract -3. So just be careful with your signs. I did that on purpose so we could be kind of careful with that. So let's follow the order of operations. That would be parentheses, then exponents, multiplication and division from left to right, addition and subtraction from left to right. So we need to go inside our parentheses first. That involves 3 minus 5. That is -2 squared. And we have minus -3. I'm going to go ahead and do the obvious here. We're going to change those to a plus. So we really have plus 3. We are going to square a -2. So we really have -2 times -2. There are 2 of them. -2 times -2 is positive 4. So we have 4 plus 3, and last time I checked that was 7. There we go. Alright, let's keep moving. We have A minus B plus XY. Now XY, they're multiplied together. This is X times Y. So A minus B is going to be 5 minus -4. Be careful, watch your signs. 5 minus -4 plus X times Y, and that's -3. Okay, let's go from left to right, looking for multiplication and division. So you might be tempted to go ahead and be like, well, 5 plus positive. It is okay to go ahead and make that a plus positive. That's fine. But the first thing you really need to do is this. So 8 times -3 is -24, and we'll just bring the rest of it down. It actually would not have hurt to go ahead and add these together, but it's a good idea to wait, just, you know, to be safe. So we have 9 plus -24, and so we'll do 9 minus 24. If I have $9 and I give somebody 24 of them, basically if I had 24 and I gave away $9, then I have 15, but I actually gave away more than I had, so it's -15. Okay, let's keep moving. I believe you got this, I hope. So let's go C to the X plus BY. C is -1. X is 8 plus B times Y. I'm going to put it in parentheses just to make it kind of stand out as multiplication a little bit more. Okay, now I have actually made another mistake. I did it on purpose. It doesn't look horrible, but here's the deal. I'm raising -1 to the 8th power, and the calculator, if you were to type this in, will give you a wrong answer. So we've been through this, but if I have a negative number raised to an even power, I should get a positive. The calculator, if you just typed that right there, -1 to the 8th, exactly the way it is, it would give you -1, and here's why. It would do 1 to the 8th, and then it would make it negative. This is what I really want. Okay, so -1 to the 8th power. Well, I have 8 ones. 1 times 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 1. That's just 8. I'm sorry, that's 1. My bad. There are 8 of them, but I'm multiplying them, so it's 1. Negative to an even power is positive, and I'd love to explain why that is. Actually, I'll take a brief second with a random piece of scrap pink paper, and I'll do it. -1 times -1 times -1 times -1. I'm going to stop there. There are 4 of them. It's even. If I multiply those, I get a 1. If I multiply those, I get a 1. And then if I multiply those, I get a smiley face. No, I'm kidding. If I multiply those, I still get a 1. So when I have an even number, it gives me a positive. If I'd have put 4 more and truly had 8 of them, I'd still have a positive at the end here. Okay, plus, I've done my parentheses. Well, there's nothing inside parentheses. I've dealt with the exponent. Let's do multiplication and division. Negative 3 times negative 4. Pointed at the wrong number, but that's okay. That is positive 12. 1 plus 12 is 13. Okay, 7 minus x plus d minus c, running out of room, plus 2a. Should have written a little bit smaller. I used a big font. Okay, there is not much multiplication and division to do, but there is a little bit. So let's go ahead and do it. I'm going to go ahead and do this also. So 2 times 5 is 10. So 7 minus 8 plus 2 plus 1. Minus negative 1 became plus 1. Plus 10. All right, let's go from left to right with addition and subtraction. 7 minus 8 is negative 1. Plus 2 plus 1 plus 10. Negative 1 plus 2. You can do this all at one step if you want to, in one step, but I'm not. Negative 1 plus 2 is 1. 1 plus 1 plus 10. At this point, I'm going to do the whole thing. 1 plus 1 plus 10 is 12. Okay. AB over CY. Why not? Okay, AB, 5, negative 4. Don't write it like that. This is 5 times negative 4. Let's write it like this instead. Divided by C, which is negative 1 times Y, which is negative 3. Okay, we will simplify everything inside parentheses first, but there's nothing really to simplify. So I'm going to go to exponents. There's none of that. I'll do multiplication and division. So let's take care of the multiplication in the numerator first. So 5 times negative 4 is negative 20. And we'll also take care of the multiplication in the denominator. Negative 1 times negative 3 is positive 3. And now we'll continue to deal with multiplication and division. By the way, this is good. You could leave it like this, but considering some of the mixed numbers that we've dealt with, let's go ahead and keep going with this. I know it's negative. Whatever it is, it's going to be negative for obvious reasons. When the signs are different and I'm dividing, I get a negative. 3 goes into 20 6 times with 2 left over. That's it. I'd reduce that if I could, but I can't. All right, one more up here and then we'll deal with the rectangle problems. So Z, I wrote a Z. I don't need a Z. I need a 3. Here, I can turn this into a 3. There we go. Z is 3 minus Y, and Y is negative 3. So watch your signs. Over, 3's don't look alike, C minus D. Okay. If I see a double negative, then I like to fix it. I don't like no double negatives. Wait. Double negative makes it positive. So, boom, boom. 3 plus 3 is 6. Negative 1 minus 2 is negative 3. And now we're left with this. And it's just a fraction that divides. So let's do it. First of all, it's negative. 6 divided by 3 is 2. Okay, so there's a little practice, just plugging stuff in, refreshing your memory on the order of operations. But let's get to where it's actually practical. The formula to find the perimeter of a rectangle with length L and width W is P equals 2L plus 2W. Well, again, let me show you something on the same random scrap piece of paper. So we have a rectangle right there, and let's suppose it has some width and some length L. And if I wanted to know, first of all, if I wanted to know the perimeter of this, then I would say L plus W plus L plus W, and that would be my perimeter. L plus W plus L plus W. Well, that's a waste of time. Should have used another piece of paper instead of the same one that I had. I have 2 L's and I have 2 W's. That's where the formula comes from, in case you were wondering. And for fairly obvious reasons, if I wanted to know the perimeter, I would just do base times height or length times width. So the area is length times width. So I can just plug in whatever I want. And that's why this idea, although it seems a little crazy up here with so many letters, variables, it's actually practical with stuff like this. So let's do it. Let's find the perimeter and the area of a rectangle with a width of 10 and a length of 4. So you can draw it if you want to, and I'm actually going to. So we have a width of 10. So W is 10, and length is 4 centimeters. And we'll plug it into the formula. P equals 2L plus 2W. And we also need to find the area, so we have LW. And this is going to be pretty straightforward. The length is 4, so we have 2 times 4 plus 2 times the width, which is 10. And now it's just a basic problem, and I ran out of room, but that's okay. So 8 plus 20, we're doing the order of operations, so we have 8 plus 20, this can happen in your head, of course, that's 28. Well, this one, length times width, that would be 4 times 10. No surprises there, that is 40. Let's put this in context, though. The area is 40 what? 40 what? This is 10 centimeters, this is 4 centimeters. If I have a 10 centimeter by 4 centimeter box, then I have 40 square centimeters, and here I have 28 regular centimeters, because if I'm going to walk all the way around this, then I'd walk 10 plus 4 plus 10 plus 4 centimeters. That's not a very far walk, is it? Okay, about to get crazy, isn't it? Here goes. Find the perimeter and area of a rectangle with a length of 10 and a length of, that needs to be corrected. It is corrected on yours, but mine is a little bit backwards. That should say width. I have a rough draft of the copy, and you will have the final copy. Anyway, a width of 4. But be careful. You notice it? You notice it? First of all, it's pretty much the same problem you had, only I've done a couple things. I've switched these two words, and that's centimeters and that's millimeters. So we can't do what we just did. That's illegal. It is very illegal. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to convert these, one of them, to match the other one. Personal opinion, it's easier to go for the shorter one. Millimeters is shorter, so let's convert this to millimeters. So I'm going to come over here and draw a little picture. The width is 4 millimeters, and the length is 10 centimeters. Wait a minute, we had a chart. And in the chart, I'm going to come over here on the side. In the chart, we had meters. I don't know why I put an E at the end of that. I feel very British right now. Meters. Anyway, it's meters. We had decimeters, which no one really uses, by the way. Centimeters. And we have Milli Vanilli. No, millimeters. Milli Vanilli was a band, by the way. It was the early 90s, and they were caught lip syncing. They won a Grammy, and then they were doing, I think, a concert or something, and they were lip syncing, and they were busted. They had to return their Grammy. Interesting. Aren't you glad you know that now? Anyway, so if I'm going from centimeters to millimeters, I was talking about the metric system, and all of a sudden I started telling you about early 90s music. Centimeters to millimeters, I'm moving down, and since it's getting smaller, I need to move my decimal to the right. So instead of having 10, I really have, move it over one place, I have 100 millimeters, okay? And again, personal opinion, I like to go for the shorter one. There's a really long explanation for that, but I'm not going to get into it. So 100 millimeters and 4 millimeters. And now we can do the same stuff we've done. So it's a little bit easier, but these need to match up. So perimeter is 2 times the length. So it's not 10 anymore, it's 100 millimeters. And 2 times 4 millimeters. And I'm going to do this in my head because you can do it too. That's 200. That's 8. That'd be 208 millimeters. If you really wanted to, you could. If you wanted to make this centimeters, not that the mood has hit you to do that, but you could call it 20.8 centimeters. You just move your decimal one place over. Okay, let's do the same thing with the area. And we're going to have 100 is my length, and 4 is my width, and this is going to be 400 square millimeters. 400 square millimeters. All right, by the way, it's not 40 square centimeters. That's where it gets tricky. Okay, let me ramble here for a second. You know how I just turned this from millimeters to centimeters? It was perfectly okay. I can't do that here. Why? Because it's squared. It's a different idea. If I have 400 square millimeters, I don't have 40 square centimeters because they're square centimeters. So the whole way we measure it is a little bit different. So I'm just going to leave it like that. In case you care, it's actually 4 square centimeters, but we're not going to go there right now. There you go.